I'm here with actress Yasmine Al Massri, who plays Nima and Reina on ABC's Quantico. Thank you so much for taking time to sit down and interview with me.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've had an interesting story. You grew up, obviously, outside of the United States. And what was your journey like in pursuing your career as an actor? I know you moved to Paris, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that journey like for you? And you also didn't want to be an actress all the way along, right? You want to be a dancer.
You know everything.
I do. You don't have to talk. You can just listen to me.
Yeah, I just have to agree. Yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
It'll be like multiple choice.
So, yeah, I moved to Paris in 2000. It was really the best thing that happened to me, allowing me to become the individual that I am today, to learn about myself as a woman and what kind of human being I want to be. Paris gave me the choices in terms of what I want to study, everything that I want to experiment as a woman. The luxury to think Paris is a very intellectual city as well as it's a very artistic city. So I was very lucky to be able to join l'École des Beaux-Arts de Paris because it's a very experimental platform for students to really think about art. But thinking about art is not like, it's something, art is everything. It's philosophy, it's politics, it's economy, it's humanities, anthropology, history, anatomy of the human body. So I really, I was exposed to a lot of great places and subjects, and I really loved all that because I was also a dancer before going to l'École des Beaux-Arts. So my main obsession was the body, dancing, me coming from the Middle East with all this tragic heritage, civil war. My father is a Palestinian refugee, my mother is Egyptian. What does all that mean, you know, for me to grow up and all that? So dance was like a tool for me to question myself about my identity as a human being and as a body. And so acting was a bit not in the picture because I had a lot of questions to ask already, and I was given this platform that was so experimental in university that acting was almost limiting myself. When you have the chance to express yourself on stage or in an art gallery or in the street or in a museum or on a video screen, or in a photo, a painting, a sculpture, why limit yourself to acting? This is how I looked at it at that time. What happened is when I was like doing my last year at university, I met this person who became my friend, was Nadine Labaki, who was writing her first script, Caramel, in Paris, and she was my neighbor. She lived in front of my apartment. And my roommate, who told me, you have to meet that girl, she's amazing. We just have to invite her over and eat and talk. And this is what happened. I ended up naturally finding myself in this world because many young Arab women and men were trying to make their own movies at that time in Paris. They were trying to tell their own stories. And the time was just perfect for it. And France is an amazing country for producing world cinema. It has always had a culture and a history of producing world film. So I was in the right place and the right time to become an actor. I played in Nadine's movie. We got so lucky, we went to Cannes. And I remember the night of the screening, the movie was sold to like 66 countries around the world. And the satisfaction that you feel out of that is amazing. It's something I have never felt on stage when I'm dancing or in a gallery, because as an actor you reach so much more people that if you were in a gallery or in a small theater. And I actually like that, the taste of that. Instead of telling my story to 20 people in the room, I'm going to be telling my story to millions of people around the world. But I didn't know I was going to get so lucky, really. It happened very slowly. For me, it's something scary to build my life around an audition. I don't like the idea of not having ownership of myself. I am taught to be an artist, and an artist for me is someone who owns their ideas and their vision of the world. And being an actor for me was a bit losing that, losing control, losing ownership, dressing in a certain way, going to every audition room in Paris and hope that that the director is gonna fall in love with me, or that the casting director is gonna fall in love with me. I don't like that. I'm too much of a rebellious in my head. So I said, no, acting is not for me. So it took me time to understand the relationship that an actor should have with a casting director, the relationship an actor should have with a director, an agent, a manager, a publicist.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's a very big world, and once you understand things, once you understand those relationships, I think you can enjoy being an actor.
Mm-hmm.
It took me time to switch from that rebellious artist into the professional actor that I am today.
And then after doing those films, you were on a
I
show
got
called
so
Crossbones.
lucky, yes. After Caramel, I did a few movies. The most important one of them was Miral with Julian Schnabel, with whom I had the honor to work with. And then Crossbones happened with the great John.
Yep.
Working with John was like going to school, really, for 6 months. I was on set with a great actor. I just had to learn, watch him work and learn from him and his ethics. And after Crossbones, Quantico happened, and here we are.
Yeah. And now you're on this little tiny show called Quantico
Yeah, very tiny.
that no one's ever heard of.
No one ever heard of.
Actually, a huge smash hit its first year. I
Yeah.
like to think that your characters are a big part of that.
Thank you.
So you had the unenviable task, of playing twins.
Yeah.
Not only twins, but twins who were switching out. And then once they were found out to be
Matching,
twins,
unmatching.
matching,
each other.
unmatching, and then you had to play one playing the other playing. It was just so confusing. How did you keep it all straight? And going in at the beginning of the season, are you a little bit more confident now in distinguishing both? Because as a viewer, I feel that you did that right from the get-go.
Thank you for thinking that. It wasn't, no, I cannot pretend to take so much credit in figuring out everything from the beginning. The only thing I had that I was very confident about was knowing that Josh have a vision, an agenda for the show that is really great and I'm very proud of. So, and this is again brought me back to the artist that that I built in Europe, that is about ideology. Working with another artist is about sharing the vision. So I knew I share ideologies and vision with Josh. I didn't know more about what's going to happen with the character. All I had was the pilot. So I just had to trust, close my eyes, and jump into it. And every episode would reveal itself like 2-3 days before we start shooting it, and I was expecting to be the terrorist every episode, like every one of us on the show. But I feel Reina and Nima took shape, developed slowly in the first 6-7 episodes, and I feel by the 7th episode I was more confident about who's Nima and who's Reina. And I was constantly talking with Josh about it, and my friends, my husband, trying to distinguish them at the same time, trying to find what makes them one, because being twins is very special. You're like one person, at the same time you're not, and I feel that you can have this love-hate relationship happening all the time. So sometimes I would decide that they are one person, and sometimes I would decide they are really different and they don't agree at all on things. And it really also, my perspective on them changed really per scene and per situation. I don't have a formula to doing Nimi and Reina. let the scene tell me what's the best way to do it. I'm not attached to a way of doing things, and I think the advantage is the fact that I don't come from a school of acting.
Right.
I'm not attached to one school of acting or one technique of acting. I'm attached to the moment. What is it that I have to live in the moment, and how do I get there? I will take any way to get there.
Do you feel that Nima kind of softened a little bit in terms of being more likable towards the end of the season, or because Reina seemed to be the more likable
Since the
of the
beginning,
sisters?
more human, forgiving, and
yeah. But Nima, like, she came in, she
became tough.
She became tough, but she also, towards the end of the season, they maybe weren't so different.
She became vulnerable.
Yeah. And I that's obviously a testament to your talent. But,
Thank you. It's not only my talent, it's really a very honest and democratic conversation that kept happening all the time with Josh. Again, I think the fact that we were able to see the work on screen and allowed us to be more creative about how to go next. And I didn't know that Nima was that tough until I would see it on screen. There was that scene where she was flirting with a guy. I remember in that office where they were having their training, and the guy discovered at the end that she had a twin sister. She blew up her cover. At that moment, I felt Nima was so vulnerable for the first time, and I liked it. And I think to keep people interested in Nima and Reina, they're gonna have to be human, and they're gonna have to evaluate. They cannot stay monotone. Reina cannot keep being the same nice, pink, forgiving person, and Nima that bitchy, angry girl. So they're gonna have, being human is about being a contradiction, actually. It's about being vulnerable sometimes and protective of yourself sometimes. I have no idea what Josh had in mind this year for them, but I'm really looking forward to discovering more colors of who Nima and Reina are.
What was the most shocking thing for you in season 1, whether it had to do with your characters or the entire season as a whole? Were you surprised?
You mean
that
in
it was
the story?
in the whole? Yeah.
Simon's death was tough on us. Every time we had to say goodbye to one of our colleagues, it was very shocking and tough. Maybe because it's me. I'm not used to doing 50 movies and 100 TV shows. I get attached to my characters, I get attached to the people I work with, and it was hard to say goodbye every time, to discover one of us was plotting something bad and he's gonna die or he's gonna be sacrificed. But again, Josh keeps it interesting that I am myself hooked like a spectator, I am in the show, but I feel that I'm also watching it, and I'm like, what's gonna do? What is he gonna do next? What's gonna happen?
Any of the character deaths, were you certain that they were final, or did you think maybe someone? I always had a little, in the back of my head that Natalie actually got out, and maybe she was, the mastermind somehow.
Really?
I don't know what it was. I just felt like, I don't know. She was a great character.
All of us. I think all of us are very suspicious people.
Oh, 100, every single one.
Our faces are. I think we were cast. We were cast to be someone you look at them and you say, what are they plotting?
And I think Josh did a really good story, making each one of you guys look like you could actually be, the responsible party or parties. Because at that point, you had no idea how many people were actually involved.
Yeah, I agree. The casting was amazingly done, and it was Robert Ulrich, who's an amazing casting director. And I think, again, a part of Josh's genius is the way he writes his characters and the way he chooses his actors. He makes it real by making it very human, which means contradiction. This face can be an angel or a demon, and I think that's being human.
And now you guys moved production down here to New York from
Yes,
Canada.
we're brought back home.
Is it a huge difference for you being here in the city filming?
Yes, it's like a fish being in the water. Quantico is a New York baby. It was Josh dreamt of it in New York. Josh is a New Yorker. He's the father of the show. He wrote his project in New York, and I think it only makes sense for it to be in New York.
And now, as of this interview, you've only filmed 2 episodes for the new season, right?
No, they started shooting 2 days ago,
Oh, so
and
you're on
I'm
one.
going to set next week.
Oh, so you haven't even started yet?
Just 2 days ago.
Just 2 days
The,
ago,
the
yeah.
first episode is going to be on air on September 25.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very excited.
You're going to be watching.
I'm 100% going to be watching.
Great.
Thank you so much
Thank
for taking
you.
the time to do this interview. It was my pleasure to
Thank
speak
you.
with you.
Thank you.